Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brass Monkey X, and welcome to another episode of BenchTop Banter. So, today, we're taking a final look at the finished product here of, you guessed it, the Savage Fox Model B project. This is it, guys, completed in all of her glory. So what was this project? Well, we're looking at a Savage Fox Model B 12 gauge. Okay, it's probably somebody's old bird gun, side by side gun here. Things from like the 1940s, 1950s. These things were made. I inherited it from a close family friend. He actually passed away, and his wife had his gun collection and didn't know what to do with it. So, you know me, I said, hey, I can help you out. And I took it off her hands. I assured her all the firearms are going to a good place. I wasn't just going to take them and sell off the collection or anything. And, when I got this gun here, this was probably the gun that was in the worst shape out of the whole collection that I inherited. It operated fine. There was nothing wrong with it functionally. It was just it was pretty bad when it came to cosmetics. It's the barrel that was pretty much the worst part. It was rusted. It had pitting in it. It actually looked like this. Here, I got a piece of the section of the old barrel that I cut off. It was nasty, guys. There's some pretty bad pitting on here. Let me see if I can show you. Like the whole barrel looked like this. It was awful. And honestly, it was pretty much useless to me as a 30-inch barreled bird gun. Like, what am I going to do with that? I had no clue what to do with this thing. But I wanted to. I didn't want to just throw it in a safe and forget about it. I didn't want to sell it and get rid of it because, like I said, I inherited it. I promised the lady I'd take care of her husband's firearms, and I figured, you know what, I want to turn it into something fun, something I'm going to get some use out of, something that I'm going to enjoy, bring it back to life, like Stella got her groove back, I wanted to make her functional again. So what I had in my mind was I envisioned like a short-barreled shotgun, okay, something lightweight, because this thing was heavy. I didn't get a weight on it when I had it, before I refinished everything, but it was definitely heavy, guys. It was unwieldy, to say the least. But yeah, I wanted like something short-barreled, like a close quarters home defense kind of gun. Maybe just a fun range toy, something like that. I wanted to give this gun purpose again. Give it a good life again. So the first thing we did, the first things first here is I broke the gun down, okay, and I separated it into three parts. I had the barrel section, okay. I had the fore end, and I had the whole receiver section here, which is the frame and the stock. So I separated the three parts and assessed them all separately. Okay. So the fore end, I disassembled it. I cleaned everything, and I decided it would have to get refinished. The barrels, I knew I wanted to saw it off. I wanted to cut down the length. I was going to refinish the barrel, and I was actually throwing around the idea of putting a muzzle brake on it to help with mitigating the recoil and the muzzle flip. And muzzle brakes just look badass, especially on like a short shotgun like that. It would have looked awesome. The receiver end, I knew I was going to disassemble everything, completely strip it down, clean it, refinish the stock. I wanted to shorten the stock some. Now, I didn't want to take it all the way down, like to here. I didn't want to make it like a true sawed-off. I wanted to still be able to shoulder it. So what I actually ended up doing with all the parts is, first thing I did was completely disassemble the gun, okay? It broke down into 64 different pieces. Now, all the metal parts, all the tiny little pins, the springs, the screws, the frame itself, everything, the fore end iron, I took all the metal parts off and I ran everything through my ultrasonic cleaner, and I thoroughly scrubbed every single part. Any of the parts that were like burred anywhere, had any little imperfections in them, what I did was I took my file and I filed them down. I smoothed everything out. You know, I got everything working real smooth. And I determined which parts I was going to have to go ahead and apply a new finish to. I was going to refinish the parts. I chose to refinish everything with this product here. I don't know if you're familiar with it. You can go back and watch my previous videos on the Savage Fox Model B project here. I chose to refinish all the metal parts with this here. It's called Dura Blue. It's a polished blue black finish. It's made by Duracoat. It's made to replicate bluing, but you spray it on as you would regular Duracoat. I think it came out great, to be honest. I love the color that it came out. So after I chose which finish I wanted to use, and which parts I wanted to refinish, I set everything aside that I was going to refinish, set all the other parts to another side, kept everything separated so I didn't lose track of anything. I decided nothing in the frame or the fore end was going to get modified. I wasn't going to use any aftermarket parts. I wasn't going to change anything around. I was just going to refinish whatever had to be finished. The barrel's a different story, though. Okay, when it came to the barrel, I used my chop saw, and I put a metal cutting blade in it, and I lopped off 12 inches off of this barrel. Okay, that leaves me with the barrel length now overall is 18.25 inches. Okay, I stayed a 1/4 inch above 18 so I could stay ATF compliant. The ATF says your shotgun barrel can't be shorter than 18 inches. So just to be safe, I went 18.25. I had to do some silver soldering on the vent rib, because after I had cut the barrel down, the front of the barrel looked like that. Okay, had that big gap there where the vent rib is. So I had to silver solder that to fix that. Let me see if I could show you here real quick. Oh. So I took care of that. I silver soldered the front of the gun there to make sure that was good. What else did I do to the barrel here? I drilled and tapped up front here for the bead sight. And as you can see, I decided to not go with the muzzle brakes. I think that would have been too difficult to do. So what I did was I used my my Wen drill press that I got, and I went ahead and I ported the barrels up front here. The video on that as well, if you want to go back and check out my videos, guys. I thought the porting looked really cool. It's got a nice aggressive look to it, and it should help with the recoil and the muzzle flip on this thing. Since it does have an 18-inch barrel, this thing's gonna kick. After I modified the barrel, okay, I was left with this bare bones barrel that was modified. It still had a terrible finish on it. It was still all crusty and had the pitting going on. It had the rust on it. So what I did was I had to sand it down to take it down to bare metal. And when I got it down, the pitting was pretty bad. So I had to fill in the pitting with something. So Duracoat, again, makes a product here called Durafill. Okay? And what Durafill is, it fills in pitting and any holes that you have in the metal at all. It basically works like a Bondo, like a filler you would use on an auto body work, you know? So what I did was I sprayed on the Durafill where all the pitting was. Then I had to sand everything down again, get everything real smooth. And I had to get everything prepped and ready to Dura Blue the barrel, as well as all the other parts. So once the barrel was ready, what I did was I wanted to refinish all of the parts at the same time. I didn't want to do like the smaller parts and then a week later come in and do the barrel. I wanted to get it all done in one shot. So with all the metal parts done, I went ahead and I Dura-blued everything. All the parts that needed Dura-bluing. Then it was time to move on to the wood furniture here. The stock and the forend. Okay. The first thing I did was I took the stock to my chop saw and I chopped off 3 inches off the back of the stock here. I wanted to be able to continue to shoulder the firearm. Now, according to the ATF, you have to have an overall length of minimum 26 inches if you're going to cut down a shotgun. That would put me somewhere around here. All right, not only did I think it would look kind of dopey to cut it here, I also wanted to be able to shoulder it. So what I did was, like I said, I took the 3 inches off of it. So now I have a total length from back to the front of 31.5 inches. So I'm well within ATF regulations. I don't have to worry about that at all. So what I did with the wood after I cut off the 3 inches there is I stripped all the wood. Okay, I used a wood stripper on it to get all the old finish off of it. You know, the past 70 years of dirt and grime and everything. I completely stripped it, sanded it down, got it nice and smooth. The checkering, I went back over the checkering the best I could with a file. Now, I don't have any fancy checkering tools or anything. I just used a file for it. Filed everything down. As you can see here. Got it feeling nice and good. The checkering's nice now. I mean, there wasn't any major issues with it except this one spot here, which I'm never going to be able to fix that. But yeah, I took care of the checkering. And what I did was I was debating on what kind of a finish to put on it. And what I chose was this here. It's a water-based polyurethane in an ultra matte finish. Okay, so that I can get the wood to look as natural as possible. I really loved the color of this dark walnut. I think it complemented the bluing really well. And I wanted to keep that wood as natural as possible. I thought that color was awesome. It came out looking great. The only downside is I think I'm going to have to go on every now and again. I'd say maybe like once a year or every hunting season or so. I think I'll go ahead and I'll reapply some of that polyurethane to here because it's water-based. I'll reapply it just to make sure that it has a nice coat on there. And I'm, because I honestly, I can't even tell I have 6 coats of polyurethane on there right now. But it's exactly how I wanted it to look, so can't really complain. What else? Oh, with the stock, I had to sand down the butt plate here. Okay, the butt plate needed to be recontoured to fit the new stock. So I put that on. I sanded it down. There's a video on that again if you guys want to go and watch it. So like I said, I recontoured that. There was a little bit of a gap down here at the bottom, but I took care of that. What I did was I had a piece of foam laying around. It had like sticky tape on the one side. So I just took the foam and I shaped it to the contour of the butt plate, stuck it on the back, screwed it on, and you'd never know there was a gap there. The foam filled the gap perfectly. I also used a matte black spray paint on there just to touch it up because it was looking pretty grimy. I washed it off, touched it up with the matte black. And then there you go. All that was left was to reassemble it, guys. So there's a video on me reassembling the frame, all them small parts, if you want to check that out. That was, it took me 3 hours to put that thing back together. It was a disaster. I never want to have to do that again, but I mean, it is what it is. I had fun doing it, but yeah, it was definitely frustrating to say the least. But yeah, I did a final reassembly on it. There's also a video on that. You guys can watch that if you'd like. And here it is, man. This is it. She's all done, looking real pretty. I figure I'll do another video. I'm going to take her to the range and test fire her. Now, I tried it out with some snap caps, and it's working fine. Everything's working good. But I definitely want to take her to the range, and I'll bring you guys along. I'll do a video. I'll show you guys the first shots on the redone gun here. Yeah, it's been a blast, guys. Pun intended there. I really enjoyed doing this project. This was a lot of fun for me. I've never taken a gun down completely like this and completely redone it. Now, it wasn't a restoration. By no means did I restore this gun. I redid it, but it's not a restoration. And you know, I love the way it came out, guys. I mean, if you have any comments about it, any suggestions for future projects, let me know down in the comments. But yeah, this one we're putting a done stamp on it. We're calling it done, and it's over, Johnny. That's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. You know, I know it's been a long journey. There's been quite a few videos on it, and thanks for sticking in there and watching, and we'll catch you next time, guys.